whether if you are repeating every day, the time comes that knowledge is settled in the intellect with a conviction and you live into that state. Why salutation? Without salutation means without keeping aside our ego, we cannot reach to that state of awakening. Ego and the awakening cannot go together. Guru Padam Bhaj Janmani. So more humility mentally means emotional maturity, mental maturity to the lotus feet of the Guru. So the feet is symbolic. If we do not bring a change in our attitude, it does not make any difference. We may be doing 1,000,000 namaste plus ego, it will not work. So the master is pointing out that is the beginning, that is the preparation. The great delusion with all its manifestations, Savilas Mahamuha, great delusion. I give value. For example, I give value to my honey. Don't misunderstand it. So I give value to my honey, so I am attached. And I want to be happy with attachment. Not possible. Not possible in the world. Find out. If it is possible, you are deeply attached and you are happy, no problem at all. Leave the session. You have a big ego and you want to be happy, yes, try this. Ego is always insecure. That is why the master is saying, great delusion with all its manifestations. And then in the fourth line, the author is saying, whose sole function is to devour this monster. What is the monster? Monster is the delusion and ignorance and projection. Open your eyes. And so the master is saying that the role of a teacher in the Eastern wisdom is to get rid of that great delusion. Now it is intangible. I said it is intangible. And tangible is outside. The worldly affairs. I love my honey, I am attached. I deeply love this. Love is basically in the world is attachment. One guy lives in Europe who does session every week, 2 sessions every week. So he says that, I have an anxiety because my bank account is becoming empty. I said, when you started, when it was empty, let it be empty. You continue your work. It will happen. He got it. He shifted the value to the money, to the value to himself, the life change. It doesn't mean that I'm not working, but if I give too much value to anything outside that is changing, that is what the master is saying. Master is just pointing out where we give value. So now come to the last week, we understood SYA, Shruti, Yukti and Anubhuti. Shruti means listening and learning. Another meaning of Shruti is also are the fundamental text of Eastern wisdom. They are known as Upanishads. Upanishads in sutras. So you listen and learn, but you have to reach to that level. To reaching to that level, it means I have to start with discernment and dispassion, be very clear about the goal and goal of life. So yukti means intellectual reasoning. So majority of the people in India think that, if I do devotion to the God or the temple, it means I don't need reasoning. Wrong, 100% wrong. We need an intellectual maturity. We have to find out the cause and effect relationship that will purify my emotions. I will recognize where is attachment and where is affection. Cause and effect relationship. And we briefly touched upon overcoming delusion and limited perception. So Shruti, Yukti, and Anubhuti means the practice, the direct experience. I have a direct experience of your name in the form with my sense organs. These sense organs cannot be employed to find out and to recognize the real self. Why? Sense organs are limited by itself. How the limited can perceive what is unlimited, what is all pervading. So we laid down the foundation that consciousness is all pervasive and independent. So we need an instrument that is all pervasive and independent. What is that instrument? Eastern wisdom. That is why I have been saying Eastern wisdom is an instrument of knowledge that reveals. It means I need only an understanding. When I understand it, I live into that. There is a conviction in the intellect that goes into the mind. I have a direct experience even while listening. But the listening has a thought component in it. I'm summarizing and then I will go directly to the next topic. So yes, you are talking. So it is in the form of a thought. So we discussed last time. Thought plus consciousness is perception. Perception means your understanding, your attachment, your freedom from attachment, your love, your care, etc., etc. All my experiences. I gave the example. I see the light. Light is not present in the bulb, not in the electricity, but when they fuse together, it gives rise to perception. You are crazy. It is a thought plus consciousness. You are beautiful is equal to thought plus consciousness. Consciousness is common. Thought is different. Why thought is different? It is all made up of alphabets. Thought is different because of my delusion in the mind, because I give a wrong interpretation. It is my interpretation. The word crazy means the mad, and you have labeled me mad. I gave that interpretation, and then I react. You are beautiful. I brag myself. I become egoist. What is a common factor? Consciousness. Thought is also made of the same alphabet, but my interpretation is different. But why my interpretation is different? It may be because of many layers of the delusion. Many layers of the delusion. So now come to directly what we are searching. We are searching, Master says, we are of the nature of real self. Real self is Sat, Chit, Ananda. Existence, consciousness, bliss, or permanent happiness. How? By Shruti and Yukti and Anubhuti. Three factors. So that is what we want to pick up. So we pick up each word. Sat, existence, consciousness, chit, ananda, permanent happiness. So the Sanskrit word sat means isness. That is what we covered last time. Sat means pure existence, the aspect of reality that simply is. Where is the existence in the mouse? Mouse is. Isness is first, then there is a mouse. Find out where the isness is not present. House is. Honey is. Brother is. Sibling is. President is. Car is. When you say car simply, you don't use the word is. What happens? What you're talking about. Is it your car or others? Isness is there. I already also explained you last time. Kind. I am kind. You are kind to me because kindness is there. Peacefulness is there. That is why the peace. When isness is there, it always exists. It does not change. Isness is there. Take one example of the mouse. You crush the mouse. Does it exist? Yes, the mouse exists in the form of powder. Crush the powder. Can you tell me that isness continues to exist? Answer is yes. That is why the science says matter is neither created nor destroyed. We have found it thousands of years ago. That isness. You give value to that body in the body, label, name in the form, you are egoistic. And that keeps on changing. So you want to stay intact and you don't want this to change so that you would be happy. Not possible. So I have to go back to isness. Isness, that isness is always present. Take another example in a different way. Many master uses that metaphor. Heat in water, heat in fire. Two together. Heat in the water. That heat is the incidental nature in the water. But heat in the fire is essential nature. Are you getting it? Heat in the fire is essential nature. That is isness. It is always there. I don't want to see it. Why? Because I'm attached. I'm deluded. I live in ignorance. Water can exist without heat. Heat is incidental nature. What is incidental nature? Water is hot, you leave it outside, the water will move to its essential nature, coolness. Fire cannot exist without heat. The fire or the heat is the essential nature of the fire. Have you seen the cold fire? Same way that I consciousness is intrinsic to my nature, to your nature. We are defining. Why we are defining? We are understanding who we are. We are understanding who we are. So we are getting rid of incidental nature. we are reaching to isness. So by this example, we can find out consciousness is there. But why this metaphor works? Put the logic. Everyone understands water and the fire. Obvious difference between the essential and incidental property. No complex reasoning is required. So I have to find out what is incidental and what is essential. Can I talk without consciousness? Can I perceive you without consciousness? Can I say you are wonderful or you are crazy without consciousness? Essential nature, Sat. 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 But can it happen in a day? No, every day you have to repeat the same thing and become aware. Identity, you resolve that identity crisis. Oh, you abused me. Oh, he abused. Body and the mind, name and the form. That is my incidental properties. What you are doing, you are calming down your hesitation. You had certain expectations by repetition. One day you remove the expectation, other day you remove the delusion, third day you remove the attachment. You are repeating the same thing. Are you getting it? Identity, crisis, resolution, stability, recognition. So you recognize that is something stable in you, unchanging in you. How? By discernment. You are training your intellect into the process of discernment. What happens? Your fear and anxiety are gone. You need not to worry about it, that I have a chronic fear or anxiety. You need not to worry. They will go by themselves. Daily practice, daily contemplation and reflection. Daily contemplation and reflection. Understand again. I'm repeating in a different way. Imagine water in the fire. Water can exist without heat. It is just borrowed heat. Can I say that? Water borrowed the heat from outside. And because why? Fire is heat. It cannot exist without it. Fire cannot exist without heat. So it means, yes, my consciousness works exactly like fire. It is not something you have, it is what you are. What I said, did you get it? It is not something you have. I have a consciousness. Can you say it? No, you are consciousness. Beautiful. You know, it shakes all my belief in the values and attachment and duality and a conflict in the intellect. And then shaking goes into the mind. We reveal something new, isness. We are exploring existence, pure existence, the unchanging reality that you truly are beneath all the chaos of daily life. Ego remains on the surface, value remain on the surface. Because you have been living like water. Now I'm extending this metaphor. Because you have been living like a water, thinking your peace and happiness come from outside circumstances. You warm the water, you cool the water. That is what we experience is my peace and happiness. Why don't you recognize you are the fire, your awareness, your I am? We forget it. So the master says we cannot exist without consciousness. We are just only understanding the sat part. So if I'm the consciousness, I should stop searching myself in temporary things. Why temporary? It is incidental nature. But I have to remember all the time. I have to maintain that awareness. I have to live consciously. No, I will find that consciousness in deep sleep. I feel sleepy, enjoy your life. It will not work. Difference between essential and incidental nature or properties. I have to look at again and again. What is going to happen? Unshakable peace, freedom from the fear. So what key principles, what we discussed, that my consciousness is your consciousness, is one consciousness, is all pervasive. It is intrinsic. It is not incidental. It is unchanging. So I have to return my mind from changing. The more I focus on the changing, and I want permanent happiness, not possible. Forget about it. How the changing becomes unchanging? Because of delusion, because of ignorance, because of my ego. So the master says the lotus feet. He has done nothing wrong. We are going a little deeper so that we can move to the other verses. When you lose your job, your mind says, I am unemployed. Tell me, is it incidental nature or intrinsic nature? You don't have a money in the bank account. Is it incidental or intrinsic nature? So I get worried because of my incidental nature, which keeps on changing. Today is empty, tomorrow it may be full. You continue working, but your true nature remains unchanged. I'm giving a daily life example. You insulted me, incidental or intrinsic? You appreciated me, incidental or intrinsic? Find out. Yukti. You are still the same conscious awareness that witnessed having the job and now witness not having it. What you gain? Instant access to peace during any crisis. It has a role in daily life. Confidence that doesn't depend on the external validation. You have the confidence. External validation, incidental nature. The ability to take action from love rather than fear and attachment. Intrinsic, essential, natural resilience in the face of any challenge. I'm simultaneously giving you some application. You are consciousness itself, not a person who has consciousness. If I'm a person who possesses consciousness, it is incidental. Can you think 10,000 years ago? In science, we talk about it took thousands of years for the intellectual development. These principles were discovered 10,000 years ago. Can you imagine? You are consciousness itself, not a person who has a consciousness. We are arriving at a conclusion. Problems are temporary overlays on your permanent, peaceful nature. Overlays. That overlaying is the delusion. We have to remove it. To abide in the real self, to abide in the Sat, to abide in the isness. The recognition of my true nature. This master has said somewhere else, I'm bringing it here. Master says that recognition of true nature happens instantly. No years of practice is required. That is why this master says practice is not required. But if I'm not a seeker, practice is required. If I feel sleepy in the session, then practice is required. My mind opposes these processes. This processing of the thought, practice is required. You stop seeking and start recognizing what you already are. What is the conclusion with the water and the fire? The moment you stop looking for fire in the water, fire in the water, and recognize you are the fire, everything changes. Honey, do you love me? No, I hate you. Then there is a problem. Honey says, I love you too much. Also, that is a problem. Why? Intrinsic or incidental? Look at the beauty, the way Master is pointing out. I'm not doing anything. I'm just. So basically the Sat is the pure existence. It refers to the reality that remains constant throughout all changes. We have already done a distinction between it. Let us see what conclusion I can draw and live with that conclusion. That I recognize now what is permanent and what is temporary from the incidental and intrinsic nature. So when I abide in the permanent, there is a natural confidence. Confidence. Wherever I go, whenever I talk, communicate, think, speak, and act, do you have an anxiety? No, it's incidental. You live into that. Now, whenever the problem comes, you have a different perception of the problem. Oh, incidental, okay. Expectation and attachment and delusion. Your mind processes that information. Oh, I'm okay. Bank is empty, it will be full tomorrow. If I'm working in the world, obviously I'll get you may not give the value. For example, to me, you don't give a value to the Eastern wisdom. So you will say your worth is $10. Okay, it is you are giving the value to me. I have not given any value. Why should I give any value to and create an incidental nature? Let me continue my journey. Do you see that? Did you get something? I believe so. I believe so. Now come to let us pick up another word that is chit. Chit means consciousness. So let us understand we have understood the Sat. Last session I said isness. Here I said incidental and intrinsic nature. So then from there, the corollary is the permanent or the temporary. So when I abide in the permanent, is there any anxiety, duality, conflict, and problem? It is just gone. It is gone. When? Within, it doesn't take any time. So now with the Sat, we come to what is known as the consciousness. So the master says, you are the light, not the object. Look at it. Beauty of the understanding, beauty of the discussion. You are the light, not the object. You are the light that is invisible. You are not the object that is seen in the presence of light. Did you get it? It's a mind blowing. Those masters have taught thousands of years ago. That is the beauty of this teacher. You are using light to see everything around you, your phone, the room, me, other participants. But here, what will shatter you really? You can see everything in the light, but you never see the light as an object. I see everything in the light, but I don't see the light as an object. Light makes all seeing possible, but remains invisible. My consciousness is like the light which remains invisible, but still seeing is made possible by this light. This is the light of awareness, not the object you are aware of. And majority of the people, they say, I am sitting in the meditation, I see the blue light. Come on, you are comparing the light of consciousness, blue light, yellow light. Why don't you see the blue light and yellow light with eyes open? Why you have to practice meditation? We are saying light of consciousness, metaphorically. And you say, I see the light. I see the light with eyes closed. Ah, you are a great musician. You are not a meditator. You are not a seeker. And it takes hundreds of years for many people to recognize this. Shruti, Yukti, Anubhuti, don't forget it. Master says, Eastern wisdom says, we are exploring Chit. Chit means pure consciousness, the witnessing awareness that illuminates every single experience you ever had, but which you have never seen as a thing. I see the phone in the presence of the light. I don't care the light. It's okay, I see the phone in the presence of the light. Because you have been searching for consciousness like a lost object. Okay, the way I see the phone, I want to see the same consciousness as a phone. Not possible. It is subjective. It cannot be objectified. So the master resolves the problem. When you are the very consciousness doing the searching, it is like using a flashlight to look for the flashlight. Did you understand that? I'm using, we have to use these metaphors because, we are discovering the subjective real self. I'm using the flashlight. Where is the flashlight? I want to see the flashlight as an object. Not possible. By recognizing that just as a light enables all visions, but is never visible as an object. It is visible, but not as an object. Consciousness enables all our thought, experiences, perception, but is not experienced as an object. That is why last time I said consciousness plus thought is equal to perception. That is why I picked up that topic. Look at it. That is the beauty. So it means that I will go to, with due respect, I will go to church or temple to find the God or myself. No, I have to find first myself. You cannot find that. But this master is very rough. He says, stop the impossible search. It is your impossible search. Why you are searching outside? You have been trying to find a finder. I'm using different words. so that it should go into your head. You have been trying to find the finder, see the seer. You want to see the seer. You want to know the knower. It is like trying to bite your own teeth. Your consciousness itself, the unchanging light in which all thoughts, emotions, and experience appear and disappear. Intrinsic, incidental, attachment, everything is included. The moment you stop looking for awareness and recognize you are awareness, seeking ends. You found it. So what exactly Master is pointing out, so from there you have to draw a corollary. What is the subject-object distinction in the consciousness? What is subject, what is object? Why consciousness can never be found as an experience? How you are the light that illuminates all your experiences. So if we answer this question, the end of the seeking what you already are. So the Master says, your mind stops seeking the real self as an object. You drop all the delusion, attachment, and expectation, then what is left? Pure consciousness. That you are. Instant recognition. So when you have that instant recognition, then what happens? Immediate recognition of my true nature. The end of the trying to get or achieve consciousness. You need not to, I will practice after half an hour of the practice, I will realize that I'm the peace. No. Do you see the contradictory and paradox? Monday and Thursday we say, no, you have to be practiced. Our masters have covered every aspect. Natural peace that doesn't depend on any state. Direct knowing that cannot be doubted. It's a direct experience. Direct knowing. Freedom from the exhausting search for enlightenment. You are the consciousness, the light of awareness itself. Don't mistake it. Don't mistake with any other teacher of the Eastern wisdom who teaches, I will show you the yellow, blue, and rainbow light. I would better see the rainbow outside than my inside. You are deluding me. You are putting me into what will happen if I see the light. I will be enlightened. So, okay, let me see the blue light. Let me, if blue light gives me that awakening, so let me convert all my bulbs into the blue light. This is delusion. Master goes into the highest level. Consciousness makes all experience possible, but is never experienced as a thing. That is the problem the mind has. The mind cannot want to understand, do not want to understand, does not understand at present anything without being an object. And the moment I see it as an object, then there is a incidental nature is taken as intrinsic nature, then there is an attachment, an ego, and long list. Devour the delusion. Did you understand the beginning of the Mangalacharan? All manifestations, monster of delusion. Subject and object recognition removes that. But there is a problem. How can I recognize? Consciousness itself is knowledge. It is self-luminous. It will recognize by itself. You need not to work. Flashlight. I gave you an example. I'm searching flashlight with a flashlight. No, I am already there. What happens? and of the spiritual seeking and striving, direct access to unshakable permanent peace, recognition that you have always been what you were looking for. This is the message of the Master. Natural confidence that does not come and go. It remains with you. This is what the Master is saying. You are not in consciousness. You are consciousness having experiences. It is self-evident. It is self-luminous. It needs nothing to prove its existence. Can I prove that I'm conscious in a dark room? You already proved yourself by asking this question. Did you understand what I said? You have already proved. When you are asking a question without being conscious, you cannot ask a question, whether it's a dark room or it's a room full of light. That is the beauty. So it means it is self-evident, it is self-luminous. The search ends when you realize the seeker is. That is why we have isness. Isness is already there. That isness has a property of consciousness, and both are the same. I'm there. Final, then nature. That is what the nature of the. I'll spend a few minutes more and then we will go for reflection. I will go only one way to make you understand. What is that? The third word is permanent happiness, which is known as happiness. So let us pick up that. Sat Chit Anand. अशोक सच्चिदानंद भगवान की जय. वो यही है प्रभु जी. I said something secretly in Hindi. So your deepest sleep holds the secret to unlimited happiness. Master is using this metaphor. So I translated this metaphor into my way of understanding. Last night you experienced something miraculous and didn't even realize it. Example. In deep sleep, you had no thought. What is that miraculous? That we need to understand. In deep sleep, not dream sleep. In deep sleep, you had no thoughts. You know, our modern science gives a new word. We have already understood it. REM sleep and non-REM sleep. So yes, you may be surprised, but those we understand. So in deep sleep, you had no thoughts, no desires, no problems, no awareness of the world, complete ignorance. Yet when you woke up, what did you say? I slept peacefully. I was so happy and relaxed. What is this? Is it not a mind-blowing revelation? If happiness required, now Master is asking the question, if happiness required knowledge, object, experience, deep sleep should be a misery. Do you understand? But it's a pure bliss. So the Master argues that proves my true nature is unlimited happiness itself. We are exploring Ananda. Ananda means peace. No, permanent happiness. It is intrinsic bliss. The unlimited happiness that is my essence, your essence, hidden in plain sight. Hidden in plain sight. It is there. I don't see it. I only see the waves. I don't see the water. Hidden in plain sight every single night. because you have been chasing happiness in all the wrong places. You think you need experiences, achievement, relationship, or even the spiritual states with the blue, yellow, and orange color to be fulfilled. But the deep sleep proves you are already complete by recognizing that if you can be perfectly happy with the zero knowledge, zero experience, zero object in deep sleep. If that is the zero object also means no honey, no object, no money, then happiness is my fundamental nature. So the master says, stop the impossible change. Now you can draw a corollary. What is that corollary? Stop the impossible change. What is that change? I will find happiness also. You have been running toward what you already are. Every night for hours, you demonstrate that you don't need anything for permanent happiness. Not a single thought, not an object, not an experience, not any possession. You are the happiness you seek, you are the completion you crave. The bliss of deep sleep isn't a state you enter. It is your natural condition that gets temporarily covered by the waking mind. It means when I stop the impossible chase, that demands a practice. I just, I just go after the impossible chase for happiness in the world outside, attachment and detachment and clinging and the craving and the possessions, a long list and the delusion. That demands practice, but the peace is already within. But yes, if you are lucky, you immediately recognize inherently blissful nature, you are already there. And when you are already there, what happens? You are free from exhausting pursuit of happiness. Ashok was saying that I traveled 5 hours to meet the master. I'm totally exhausted. Why you have gone there? Who told you? Master is no more physically. Did you hear his call? He said, Ashok, come to my monastery and pay homage. So he said to me, he thought that, I will put my point, ego, in the very beginning. Ego will not help you. Lotus feet. It is the exhausted feet of the master when you travel there. It has to be converted from my mind, the lotus feet. How your naturally complete state gets obscured by the mental activity, I have to get rid of that mental activity. Understanding that problems are mental constructions. Deep sleep proves my natural state is blissful, completeness requiring nothing. How the master arrived at that conclusion, you have to appreciate that. You have to have, it does not mean that for physical survival, I don't need that. No, I don't need anything. It is physical level. Seeking happiness is like trying to catch your shadow. It creates the very problem it aims to solve. This master says you already are what every desire is ultimately seeking, unlimited fulfillment. The peace of deep sleep is your fundamental nature. Pay attention, intrinsic, incidental. True happiness is not an experience, it is. Let us start with our reflection. Who is going to take? Dennis, you want to take over?
As I understand it, everything that I perceive through sense organs and the mind is incidental because it has three characteristics. It is changing, it is not independent, and it is temporary.
Beautiful.
So basically all of the perceived reality is incidental. And at the same time, the perception of the reality can happen only in presence of consciousness. And consciousness is not incidental because it has another three characteristics. It is unchanging, it is independent of anything, and it is permanent. Uh, and perception, which is incidental, cannot happen without consciousness, which is consequently essential. So everything that exists as an object or perceived as an object cannot exist or cannot be perceived without consciousness. And
Beautiful.
if every object depends on the consciousness and consciousness is independent, it means that the nature of any object is consciousness. We perceive object as an object only due to limited perception, which is the delusion. Uh, so the I think we can make the following equation that an object minus delusion is consciousness, or
Beautiful.
perception minus delusion is consciousness, and basically anything that is known minus delusion is consciousness. Even false I minus delusion is consciousness or real self, which basically proves that uh, I am the consciousness.
What a beautiful way of summary. I see you with the name and the form and the label minus that name in the form is consciousness. So there is only one consciousness. You rightly put in that perspective. The perception, any perception, based on temporary, the mind and the sense organ, it will lead to the temporary perception, incidental. Whether you say incidental or temporary. And as long as I'm chasing the temporary as permanent, nothing is going to be achieved. Do you think temporary pleasure will make me free from the fear and anxiety? Never. It had never happened. It will never happen. David and Jerry.
Thank you. I love the use of metaphor. By the way, today's lesson was rich with all kinds of nuggets evolving around consciousness. And secondly, Dennis, your summary was just
Beautiful.
excellent. Thank you very much. The metaphor that really triggered deep thought for me was the hot water. The hot is not in the water. The heat is temporary. Water is the essential nature of water. So heat comes and goes. And when you compare that to our consciousness, consciousness is the experiencer. It just sort of opens up a whole level of freedom. So thank you.
Yes, beautiful. Even you pick up one metaphor and you keep on thinking the heat in the water, heat in the mind, I'm excited. But the nature of the mind as such, it is not exciting. Do you see that?
Yes.
That is the beauty. Beautifully said. David, how are you, Jay?
Sir, I'm good. Thank you. And Dennis really summed it up beautifully. Thank you, Dennis. I don't really have a lot to add other than I feel like when the mind is firmly established in who I am, then we see all the changes as incidental. We don't worry about anything. We just know, we have the confidence, as you said, that we will take right action at right time, and we don't worry about it at all. Consciousness doesn't need or want anything. It has everything it needs. So any changes are really don't affect us.
Beautifully said. What you said is, when I abide in what I am really, there is no problem. But when I abide in what I am not, claiming what I am causes all the worries. I think what I am will cause the worry. But what I am recognition has no worries. Beautifully said. Stephen.
I always thank you. By the way, I always come into Saturdays wanting to listen very carefully and not start going through the contemplation and reflection. But today's topic really stirred a lot of thinking while it was going on, and going through existence consciousness and the bliss. You started with the existence, and I really was what resonated with me was the comparison of the intrinsic versus the incidental, and just another way to measure and see what's going on. And then the flashlight of the consciousness was like, all of a sudden I'm like, wait a second now. So is it going in again a mathematical systemic order? Is it existence, consciousness, and then bliss, or is it actually consciousness in order to recognize the existence? And then I started going through this thing going, okay, so being able to be using the awareness of consciousness, being able to recognize the existence, being able to separate out between what's intrinsic and what's incidental, all that's left is the bliss. And that's the essence of it all, is that once, just like the example of the warmth in the water, it's just incidental at the moment, but eventually the essential nature comes through of it's just water. And that's what we're talking about here, is that the consciousness, the existence outside of all the other stuff, everything that's intrinsic just leaves us with the bliss. And that's my takeaway. So again, thank you.
Beautiful. We are going to understand that that isness, which is existence, extends itself to consciousness, because the very nature of isness has to be consciousness. But why? Because that isness has inherent intelligence. And that intelligence, if there is an intelligence, it is consciousness. So isness is consciousness, and the consciousness is bliss. That we are going to reveal in this lesson. How are you, Sami? Beautifully said. Thank you. Stephen, yes.
Sir, I have been experiencing one thing, that you told that incidental and intrinsic. So as the mind starts experiencing incidental nature of things, it starts becoming disinterested in those things, and the mind is eager to know about intrinsic nature of the mind and wants to go inside, because the mind is not satisfied with the incidental nature of things, because that is not giving it full satisfaction what it wants. Means something is lacking in incidental. So mind slowly starts becoming disinterested in these incidental things, and it starts searching for this intrinsic nature of himself that where he wants to go and what he wants to achieve. That is there.
Equally sad. What he is pointing out, then there is a sense of detachment. Your mind starts dropping that delusion of attachment and detachment. Because the moment you see any object or a person and you are angry and upset in this, oh, is it intrinsic or incidental? It is incidental. It will never make me happy. Just leave it, detached, just going away, going to. So you don't need any effort to do it. Simple recognition is required. As you all said, and specifically, Stephen was saying that everything is that consciousness, and you all contributed. So, can I live into that state? Yes, we can live into that state while appreciating all the incidental world of experience, objects, people, and relationships. Perhaps we will be more relaxed and calm, living with our honey. That is the meaning on Monday and Thursday, leaving the home. Internally, internal change. Beautifully said. Terry, you want to contribute something?
Um, I'm not sure I can put it into words, but if
Yeah.
I was, it's amazing that the conclusion of the reason that that bliss is one of the permanent states that the analogy with deep sleep. I didn't see that coming. And I was waiting all this time to find out that piece of the puzzle. And I never thought of it that way, but it seems that then everything in the waking state is incidental. So you have to be willing to accept any possibility.
Just incidental is incidental. Don't accept incidental as intrinsic or essential. This is what the master is saying. So it means in every aspect, in every thought, speech, action, perception, experience, throughout the day in a waking state, incidental as incidental. We are not fighting with anybody. We are not making any effort. We just a recognition. There is a light, there will not be a light. Electricity is there connected to the computer, there cannot be. Then I cannot give a lesson to you.
The wholeness, the Purnam part is because the changing nature creates the incompleteness.
Yes, yes.
So the anxiety comes from constantly trying to fix that, which you can't fix it.
So when you cannot fix it, the medical science says that you have a chronic anxiety. Our Eastern wisdom says you have a chronic happiness. You see that is the beauty. Does anyone who has a deep sleep do not experience happiness? Can you tell me anyone? Answer is no. So we are at a better footing than relative concepts and principles of science. We will talk about it. Very good, great contribution. So contemplate and reflect and live into that state this week. We will meet next week. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Namaste, everyone.
Namaste.